I think that all businesses know how important the people that work for them are. That's fair. Like, I think people are arguably the greatest asset in any business. And HR leaders are the people's people, right? They are there to drive people strategy. They're there to do the best for the people, create the right people environment, put the right people initiatives in, and. And if they do that and they do that really, really well, there's a huge benefit. I'm going to quote some really, really intelligent people.
Okay.
So this is from Gallup. They're intelligent. I think maybe we should make a show on another day about saying how brilliant all the brilliant people in the world are, like Gallup and Gartner and Deloitte.
I wish I could do one of those one eyebrow raises there. You mastered it.
You can't do the eyebrow raise?
Not one.
Okay.
I could do two.
Do
not
two
one.
then. If I say, there you go. That's
okay.
it.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Brilliant.
I can do that.
So Gallup, State of the Global Workplace Research. Big name. All right, it was 2024. I think it's still relevant now. The numbers may change. So this is about engaged teams. So businesses that have engaged teams, and we can unpack what engaged teams mean on another day, right? Let's assume we all know what an engaged team looks like. 23% of businesses that have engaged teams report higher profitability. We all want that.
Yeah.
Businesses with engaged teams report that 18% higher productivity. We all want that. And 43% lower staff turnover, which, as we know, costs us money. So if engaged teams lead to 23% higher profitability, 18% higher productivity, and 43% lower staff turnover, then why do people initiatives that are driven by the people's people, HR leaders, struggle to get approved?
Yeah, I mean, I think the evidence is overwhelming.
It's strong.
But I think it is really strong. But I think the problem is that boards aren't buying research. They're buying the results. And that for me is, you can present all of the stats, and we all know that, margins, productivity, efficiency, all of those are important metrics. It's tying that back. And I think that's where often the struggle is from a HR perspective, because HR leaders know all of those stats. That's really easy, but it's how do you interpret that into the commercial metrics?
Oh, so there's a really interesting point there, tangent maybe. So, because I always joke that 83% of all statistics are made up, right? They, even if they are made up, and maybe there should be a piece of research that just assesses how many of the research pieces are made up research pieces. Maybe that would be a good piece of research. We're getting into the infinity loop here. But anyway.
Yeah.
But even if they are made up, they do tell an important story. So I don't think we'd struggle to find a business that, agrees with the fact that engaged employees are better employees. That feels like a belief system that a business can't argue with. An engaged employee is a better employee, whether it leads to 23% higher profitability or 10% or 3%, an engaged is better, right? So I don't think that leaders and commercial leaders and business owners would argue it. They also probably know the stats themselves. They see these things. So, and I also don't think that there's any disbelief there. I don't think they would look at it and go, well, that's rubbish. So it is the fact that the metric they care more about is the one about their business. So you can take these big global stats, but the stats that they want are the ones about their business. And do businesses have, so this is I guess a question. I don't know if you or I know the answer to this. I wonder what we would think it would be, but how many businesses have a stat for how engaged their employees are? And how many businesses have a stat that links that engagement to whatever profitability, productivity? Profitability is an easy stat for finance to spit out. Productivity, not so easy. That takes time to build in some metrics. Turnover, okay, that's easy. That's a stat we can find in finance. So actually it's the productivity one that's probably the missing stat.
Yeah.
And the fact that we probably don't even have a stat for engagement. am I being unfair?
No, I think engagement isn't rejected, or engagement initiatives aren't rejected because they're unimportant or that they're not adding value. I think you've got to be able to explicitly tie that back to a commercial impact benefit to the business, whether that's retention, whether it is around productivity, whether it is around improved margins. I think it is being able to articulate the performance related impact than it is around the engagement initiative itself. I think businesses just hear cost. When you start talking about culture, well-being, it sounds expensive, but if you can then relate that back to, if we were to lose 12 of our high performers, the cost of replacing those 12 high performers is going to, cost X. And I think it becomes much easier, that storytelling to understand.
And so that would be easy to calculate. And I say easy, I'm not suggesting it would be quick. I'm not suggesting it's a click of a button today. But the metric of, here are our high performers and what they contribute. And here's what we would lose if they left. And even if we replace them immediately, the length of time it might take to get someone to that high performance. So you can look at that as a metric. Here's a challenge, I guess, of is it possible for some of these things to actually, so it's a little bit like, I always talk about the weather, right? Can you 100% know whether it's going to rain in 10 minutes time? Can you 100% know? No. How are we so good at it? And not all apps are good at it, by the way. Some are really good at it, seemingly. But how are they so good at it? How? Well, it's because over the years, the decades, in meteorology and all of that, they have put in probability indicators that turn this really difficult to analyze and judge and predict measure into something that's slightly more objective, because there are enough metrics that could kind of indicate. So is it that we're missing, like we're focusing on the end metric, but missing all the independent metrics that could contribute to that metric?
I mean, I think it isn't just one metric. For me, it is, and certainly what we see is that recognition, there isn't one size fits all. It has to be relevant. And so I think, if you're looking at, just one engagement metric, for example, that isn't, you've got to be aware of all of those individuals that are sitting around the table. They are thinking about something totally different, whether that is, sales, retention, conversion. And what you need to be able to demonstrate is how important that engagement metric is linking to those.
And you hit the nail on the head there when you said the word recognition. And it's interesting because, of course, you live in the world of recognition. That's what the team and the business at Incentive Smart is all about. And yet it is about recognition, and the recognition not just of the people. It's the recognition of the indicators, the behaviors, the activities and the actions that matter. Because without recognizing those independent behaviors and activities, we are focused just on the end result. And we just don't know what the journey to get there is. I always talk to businesses about the idea of a KPI. And the minute a KPI is a point in time that's too late, it's no longer a KPI, it's a target. Like KPIs are the stepping stones to get you to the target. They're not the target. If they are the target and that's what you're staring at, then you're trying to win a game of basketball by staring at the scoreboard.
Exactly that.
No one's going to do that. You need to be on the court looking at the things and the plays and. So I think it is about recognition. I think it's about recognizing what those behaviors are that could lead us to the engaged employee outcome that we're looking for. And maybe that's the answer. Maybe if we believe that, Gallup have got it right and that engaged teams are going to give us higher profitability, higher productivity and less staff turnover. If we believe that and we want that for our business, then we've got to identify how many engaged employees we have right now. And what are the behavioral stepping stones to an engaged employee.
It's that link that's really important.
And maybe that's the simple link that businesses are missing. Are you I was going to say, are you on Instagram there? But it's because I want to talk about Instagram. Can I talk about Instagram?
Go for Instagram.
So I love me some Instagram. I'm a very visual person, and I see it as a nice way to kind of follow what people are up to without asking them and getting into a conversation that ain't nobody got time for, right? So Instagram's great for that. Instagram lies though, right?
It does.
Well, I think it does.
Shock horror.
I know. Well, let me tell you why I think it lies. It's not that it lies, it's that it presents a window into a world that isn't really that real.
It paints a picture of what people want you to see. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And it's so, the whole idea of the filtered environment, like filtered world. We do this great job at publicly, promoting this world that may not exist in our life, because maybe on some level it gives us a good feeling to show the people that we know, the family, the friends, etc., that we're doing okay, and actually in reality everything's burning to the ground. Like, I'm being dramatic, but that Instagram filter vibe happens in businesses as well, in my view, right? And so another piece of research for you, this time from Gartner. The intelligence is off the charts here. This was the 2025 HR priorities report, right? And this is a high number now, 89%. So you think we're into the positive figures here. 89% of executives say that they are advancing human sustainability initiatives. Now, let's come back to what that means in a minute, because Nicole, I'm obsessed with language and the definition of language. Like, I could just ask we could spend an hour just, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah, it sounds good, but maybe that's in the intention.
It sounds to me that something important is being spoken about, and it didn't really have a name, so we've called it something that sounds really intellectual.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, whatever it is, 89% of execs say that they are advancing these initiatives around human sustainability, right?
Yeah.
And yet, conversely, only 41%, this is the Instagram filter, only 41% of employees believe that meaningful progress is actually being made.
That's quite sad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good choice of word. It is sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's sad for a couple of reasons. Because I'm an idealist. I love the idea that human beings get to work in places that all the good stuff that gets talked about is being seen, is happening, and all of that. And also, we do work so that we can live. We don't live so that we can work. Like, the construct,
spend a lot of time. A
lot of time there. We have to do it. Some of us don't necessarily have the jobs that we really want, but we know we got to work, we got to earn money and all of that. So I do ideally like the idea that these human sustainability initiatives are happening in businesses, because at least we can make the working environment more palatable for everyone that has to do it, right?
Yeah.
I do like that idea. It's sad that it's not the reality for some people. The other thing that's sad is I genuinely don't believe that the reality, 41% saying that they don't see the progress. I don't believe that reality is a reality that senior executives want.
No.
So is it sad as well that they can't see the mismatch? Like, are they celebrating that they've got all these initiatives going on, and in the reality, they're the wrong initiatives, or they're not being done well enough, or like, it is sad.
I think initiatives is the interesting bit, though, because when it becomes just a whole list of initiatives, that for me is the problem. It needs to be embedded into your culture, rather than just writing on a piece of paper, our culture is this, our initiatives are this. It has to be part of the organization.
Words, Nicole, words.
Yeah.
Culture.
Yeah.
List.
Yeah.
Initiatives.
Yeah.
Like, the minute those things come in, is it just then a set of words?
Yeah.
That start to lose their meaning.
Yeah.
Like, I know we talked before, and we had Erica Clegg come and talk to us about values.
Yeah.
Values are often just words on a wall, not behaviors in a business.
Yeah.
Initiatives are actually really ideas or projects or task lists that very quickly become overwhelming.
Yeah.
Culture is such a big word.
Yeah, it is. It is. There's a couple of things on that. I think, culture, it isn't just what you write on a piece of paper. It is what you're reinforcing day in, day out. Yeah. And I think the challenge for HR leaders particularly is that when you start talking about programs, so when you start talking about an employee engagement program, it just becomes scrutiny then from a board level, because it does sound expensive and there's no real tangible measures to that.
Yeah.
But I think if you start to describe performance, then you're adding the value.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the shift needs to take place.
So is it that these human sustainability initiatives are actually performance initiatives?
Yeah.
People performance initiatives.
Yeah.
So I believe that that's a good choice of language. I believe that it makes sense. I believe that it frames it nicely. I also know from my experience that the word performance often gets dragged into performance related conversations and procedures that are predominantly disciplinary.
Yeah.
So I think, I say to people, performance management, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And they say, oh, that's a process that leads to someone getting fired. And of course it's not. Like performance management is the things that we do in order to manage and develop and maintain and increase the performance levels of an individual.
Yeah.
So I almost just feel like we're in this world where we've got to start challenging, reframing, repositioning some of these words that get banded around. Shall I Google now the dictionary definition for culture?
Go for it.
Because whilst I do that, what if you were guessing, what's your, because I'm one of these people, I do not care what dictionary definitions actually are, because it doesn't matter. It matters what it is in your brain, because that's how you will behave. But what's your dictionary definition of culture?
For me, culture is what we do, what we actually do day in, day out.
So it's activity based.
Yeah.
Right. So culture, noun. Love it. Love the Oxford English Dictionary.
Yeah.
We're talking about intelligent organizations today. They're one.
Yeah.
The ideas,
Yeah.
customs, and social behavior of a particular people or society.
Yeah.
So that's
behaviors,
nice.
of how people are, not what the business says their values are. Do you see that demonstrated day in, day out, in terms of how they interact with your customers, how they interact with each other, suppliers? It has to be something that is lived and breathed within the organization.
Customs, ideas, initiatives, actions, tasks, behaviors, those sorts of things. So let's link this together. 89% of execs think that they're doing all the right things. 41% say, yeah, I can see progress, but the rest of us can't. Where's what bridges the gap? Is it as simple as those that can't see it having a voice to say so?
I think it's everybody taking ownership.
Right.
I think that's the important part, is that it's not just a HR problem.
No.
And that is the challenge. It's not just about HR banging the drum about that. It has to be something that all business leaders and that kind of filters down. I think engagement is probably the most researched, kind of driver of performance. But yet, it's probably the most misunderstood within the boardroom. And I think that is the challenge, is that how do we make it everybody's challenge rather than just HR people?
Yeah. And maybe the answer in business is for those HR leaders to redefine or reconnect with the definition of engagement in the business. So again, forget the dictionary definition, which might be the starting point. But if you ask the exec team in your next leadership meeting, how do we define culture? How do we define engagement? Do we all agree with what it means? And if we agree with what it means, can we just run an internal PR campaign to make sure that everyone else knows what it means too? So that next time we talk about engagement, everyone knows what we're heading towards. Maybe that's the answer, to get rid of the Instagram filter and bring in a bit of reality around what engagement means, what culture actually is, and what everyone's part. And you talk about ownership, what everyone's part in that is. And I think the last thing I would say on that is that I talk about HR people, HR leaders being the people's people, right? The people's people without the people, i.e. the people that aren't engaged, the people that aren't caring or aren't seeing it, they're not the people's people there anymore. They're just another person on the board. And that's where the issue lies.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, for me, engagement almost without strategy just becomes noise. I mean, that's the reality of it. And I think if we can turn that performance or recognition into more intent, that's your lever. That's your leverage.
Turning performance and recognition into intent.
Yeah.
Like that. Thank you. We're going to stick with Gartner.
Okay.
HR leadership research, so that we know the HR leaders that we speak to will go to this, right? 75% of HR leaders are reporting that managers within their organization are overwhelmed. Shock horror. Like, I mean, that feels like a very leading question in a report, though, doesn't it? Like, are you overwhelmed? Yep. Okay. I mean, arguably 75% feels low. Let's go. 75% of HR leaders report that managers are overwhelmed at the moment.
Yeah.
66% of workforce planning is limited to headcount and resource rather than capability, which is a number one sort of contributor, one of the number one contributors to that overwhelming thing. Like, maybe it's because what we're asking people to do, there's a lack of competence, a capability gap. Maybe it's harder for them to do because they're not fully developed or trained or supported and. Like, capability might not just be about skill, it could be a number of things. But if 66% of workforce planning initiatives are really limited to headcount and resource, then it's really no surprise that by the time the initiative gets to a proposal at board level and asks for budget, it's become a numbers conversation about headcount again.
Yeah.
And I kind of think, well, what's the alternative to headcount? Because I do get it. I do get why we sit in a board meeting and like, it's about the numbers and it's about, well, how many more people, how many more heads, how many more heads? Feels very inhumane, actually. Feels like we're objects.
Yeah, I suppose it does remove the sort of people aspects away from those board level conversations, which perhaps are quite removed. I mean, maybe that is the challenge from that. But I think when you're presenting just data, that's informative and it serves a purpose. And so if you're going into the board and saying our engagement scores have dropped by 4%, it's being able to interpret that in terms of, if this continues, and it's that storytelling bit. I think the data tells you the situation, but I think being able to put the narrative around that in terms of what does that actually mean to our business, the commercial impact, that's the bit that I in my opinion, we need to work on.
And so there's a human truth here that we forget. Like, and the human truth is that decision making is largely driven, if not entirely influenced and impacted and initiated by, like, as in, I think that logic comes in, should come in, always will come in. Rational decisions have to be made. They start the vast majority, if not all of the time, at an emotional level. So this data that we're talking about, these are facts. We care more about feelings when we're telling stories. And human beings in a business, they're not head count. There's a heart count there. And the heart count for me is like arguably the more important metric. And it says how many of these people that we employ and whose bills we pay are genuinely emotionally invested in what they're doing and what we're asking them to do. Because if they were, they'd work harder and we'd get more out of them. And again, I'm being really, really ideal here. Like, to assume that all businesses could have a really emotional workforce that are genuinely invested in the mission might be really unrealistic for some companies. Like, maybe you just don't make something that is that exciting.
But it's turning it from a HR, again, turning it from this is a HR problem to this is a business problem. So yes, we've got a problem here because the data is telling us that retention is an issue or productivity is an issue. We can present the data, and that's the HR issue. If we can't turn that narrative into what the business strategy issue is as a result of that, it does then just stay as a HR problem. And so for me, that's the challenge: is how do we take some of those more people related challenges to understand the business, understand what the impact
answer
is.
that you've said a number of times there actually is the narrative and the story.
It's so important.
Like, stories sell. Stories sell.
Yeah.
And if stories sell and what we want is for boards to buy in,
Yeah.
then we've got to tell stories.
Yeah, it's making those individuals that are sat around the table with you understand what it means for them. Ultimately, you know, it is, otherwise it just remains your problem. And
Yeah.
I think nothing's going to move forward on that basis.
So here's something that I think most employers want to hear their employees say when they speak to either potential new employees or just their friends, their family, but they want to hear people say, "Oh, do you know where I work? It's a great place to work. It's a great place to work."
Yeah.
Like that feels like a badge of honor that
Yeah.
actually most businesses, all businesses, I'm going most there. Let's be ideal here. All businesses want that badge of honor.
Yeah.
Want that certificate. Great place to work. And interestingly, there was a great place to work piece of research done. Right. So this is, I think this was Deloitte actually. And basically it was about strong workplace culture. I know we talked about culture and what does culture mean.
Yeah.
Strong workplace culture significantly outperforms the wider market. So they've basically done the research and said, look, do you know what? This isn't just a washy-washy thing about, you know, oh, wouldn't it be lovely if? No, they genuinely outperform their competitors. UK businesses, by the way, with a strong workplace culture, outperform the wider market by over 1,000%.
Yeah.
And that's compared to 231% for the FTSE All Share. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and again, like chase the stats, question the stats, challenge the stats, even if that was just 100%, not 1,000%, like outperform is outperform.
Yeah.
If you want to stand out from your competition, you know, you've got to stand out and be different and be better, be the first, be the newest, be the only. Like differentiation matters and workplace culture matters. Being a great place to work matters.
Yeah.
Right. So like, where do we see this working really, really well? Like, who are the bastions of light that we should be guided by? Who are the companies that seemingly have this nailed? And what in their secret recipe of success gives us a little golden nugget that if we did it too, like, and because I've got ideas.
Yeah.
And they're not all going to be right, and they're not going to work for every organization.
Yeah.
Some of them cost, and some of them like.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, what's the secret recipe of success for making your place of work a great place to work?
Yeah, I mean, this probably ties back to your point earlier about the whole Instagram perception piece. This is about authenticity. You know, what's right for one business isn't necessarily right for another. And actually at Incentive Smart, a lot of the work we do is to really understand the businesses. What are their challenges? What is the culture within their organization?
Yeah.
What does that look like? So, you know, it isn't just one size fits all. We spend time with each of our clients working out what does culture look like in terms of what they want it to be and where are they today? And I think that's the it's all very well understanding we say this, but actually when you speak to people, that's not what they see. And I think that's where, a lot of the programs that we run are tailored to looking at where do you want to be and where are you now and how can we get there? And some of those are, subtle measures, but they're not, it isn't just about if you do this, you will see this, because every company is different in terms of where they are today.
And the word that's rooted in your answer there is just reality.
Yeah.
And I'm never convinced that there's enough reality in either what we are seeing or what we are pretending exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, pretending exists is the key.
Yeah.
Like, how many of us would hand on heart say that what we say about our company when we put an advert out for it is true?
Yeah.
Like, and by true, I don't mean it's not true in the desire. Like, when we say, oh, we're a great place to work, come and join our team. Look at us, we're hiring.
Yeah.
This is what it's like working for us. These are the staff testimonials that say how great this place is. It's not that we don't believe that that's what we want or what we set out to achieve.
Yeah.
It's that we're not being honest of whether or not we are actually achieving it. And if not, by the way, we might not be far off.
Yeah. And is it that we're not honest, or is it that we just don't ask?
Ooh,
I think
both.
Sometimes it's just the fact that we don't even ask, where we are today, because sometimes I think we want to see it how we think it is, and asking the question means you've got to do something about it. And I think sometimes the challenge is actually having the bravery to ask people how they're feeling, and how they think the culture is, what they believe the culture is. Because I think that's the way, knowing that, it allows you to be able to do something about it. If you're genuinely interested in improving the culture, ask people, because they probably won't be shy in coming forward with it.
And sometimes they will be, because even when you ask, you're not really giving psychological permission for honesty.
Yeah.
And I do think there's something important there, like creating an environment where it is okay to say that stuff isn't okay. Like, so if you do I've had this before with clients where they'll say, well, last time I stuck my head above the parapet and said something wasn't working, I got shot down. And the reason they got shot down wasn't because the person that shot them down wanted to shoot. It's because they felt in that moment defensive. Or something was being pointed out that was potentially a bad reflection on either them or the business, and that made them feel a way about it. That they then, out of defense, shot it down.
Yeah, and so much of it is about positioning, because I've actually worked in businesses myself where great places to work, as an example, a survey has come round, and the positioning of that is around, we need this to be positive because externally this helps us win business. And so immediately when I'm filling that survey out, it's not about me. This is about externally the business doing better.
The same. I had this the other day, by the way, not in a workplace. The car was being MOT'd, and when I got the keys back at the end, the lady that gave me the keys said, "You'll get an email with a survey link. Please mark us at least 9 out of 10, otherwise we get penalised." I'm like, that's guilt trip. What if I thought, well, I was there for 4 hours for a 3-hour service? Why should I give 9 out of 10? And the reason was that they were begging because they get penalised. That's not a real stat.
No.
And the same as workplace culture. If you're just getting asked to do it because we need it to look good out. That's the Instagram filter.
Yeah, but they're the businesses that won't succeed. They are programs on that basis. They are not designed to actually shift the culture of the organization or improve engagement or capability or performance.
So like, we've talked about some brutal truths today, right? And maybe that's, these stats, these surveys, these pieces of research, they're all about uncovering the brutal truths that we already know. And that's that engaged employees make us more money. And make our businesses nicer businesses to work in and work for and work with, and partner with from customer point of view, all of that. Engaged employees are better employees in every aspect. For employees to be engaged, we need to have proper initiatives, systems, strategies in place in order to drive higher levels of engagement. If we are tasked at driving higher levels of engagement, we need to know what that metric is and where it is and what's the number, what leads us to the number, what are the KPIs that get us and the stepping stones that lead to that engagement. And are we then giving a really tangible link from that metric to the metric that the board who sign off the budget are going to get to see too. So this is all about the people's people elevating what matters and that everyone knows matters into a world where budgets get signed off, initiatives happen.
And not just making it about the budget. That business case needs to I think for me is 3 stages. The first stage is about the risk. What's the cost of doing nothing right now? Like what does that look like? And it's really, I think it's really hard to present disengagement on your P&L, but it absolutely makes a difference. It has an impact. And so it's really hard to articulate that. But I think the first part of that business case has got to be around the risk. What's the risk if we do nothing today? The second then is just about the opportunity. So, what happens if we implement something and we see that behavioral shift, we see that performance shift? What's the impact of that? And then the last part is that commercial impact. What does it mean financially to our numbers in terms of moving forward? So I think when you're at board level, rather than it just being about the budget, what's the cost? I think it needs to have more substance behind it for it really to get that backing that's needed.
It's substance. Reality, substance, people, and the people's people having the structure that gets things across the line. Nicole, thanks ever so much for talking through this. It's a really important topic, and I know it's one that we talk about a lot. It's one that
Yeah,
we
it's
talk
one I feel
about.
very passionate about.
Yeah, and there's a number of guests that we see on the show talking about this piece. I think it's rooted in reality.
Yeah.
And I think the more we talk about it, the more airtime we can give it, the more chance we have of businesses genuinely becoming great places to work that do great things with great people for great effects and great results.
Yeah.
Nicole, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.